Welcome to Was I in a Cult Part 9. So quick recap from where I left off in the last video is that my friends called me to go out to a party, but they said that they were going to go to church first. I was a little bit reluctant to go to church because I knew that I was going to be doing things after that I didn't think that said church would approve of. So I thought, why was I going to go there and listen to their message when I knew what I was going to go to after? So keep in mind that the church I'm talking about is very like fundamentalist, very old school, very like don't drink, don't use other substances type of thing. And this church would not approve of anyone going to a party with non-believers. And so basically if it wasn't a fellowship within the church, it wasn't something approved of. However, because I was not a part of that church, I don't know why I even felt like I had the obligation to them to not do anything. But anyways, I guess in my mind, I just thought, I know that they're going to try to convince me to start coming to church and follow their religion, and I wasn't quite sure I was ready to do that. I actually did attempt to get out of it. I was like, well, why don't you guys just give me the address of the party and I'll just meet you there, because I really don't feel like going to church. And they were just like, nah, just meet us at the church because we're all going to follow each other after. It's someone else's house that we don't know. And so it was like a friend of a friend's house, and only one person knew how to get there, and that wasn't one of my friends. It was someone else's friend, and it was just, there was no cell phones or way of communication. So I was just like, fine, I guess I'll just go to church. So also keep in mind that this is an international church where there is churches in all different cities and different parts of the world. And so this church that I told you that I went to, where my friend's uncle was the youth pastor, that was a little small church in Duarte. But then there was another like big church that was like called the Mother Church. And that was where this event was at. And this was like a larger church, and it was just, I had been there a couple times also because I think our small church took us there for like some kind of little event or dinner or something like that. But I think I had gone there before for that, and also there was a couple of plays or skits or dramas, whatever they want to call them, that I also had attended at that bigger church. So after church, we went to this party, and that night was so weird. It was different. I remember that I was drinking and other things, and all I could do was think. And I wasn't thinking about the sermon or the church or anything. I was just thinking like, I'm tired of this. Like, this is boring. It's getting really old. A lot of the parties that I was going to at that time were actually dangerous to be at, and a lot of times that I went to different parties, we call them house parties in the 90s and stuff, and a lot of them were getting shot up. Like, a lot of them were, turning into violence quite quickly, and we had a few close calls and times where, like, well, it was like more of a norm to actually get shot up at the house than it was to not, because it's like it was actually expected that when you go to a house party that it was most likely going to get shot up by the end of the night. And we had a few close calls, times where like guns were pointed at us and different things. So it was I think I was just tired, and I was looking for a way out of that type of life. Like, I didn't want to live like that anymore, but I didn't know how else to live because that's how I had been living since I could remember. Like, that's all I knew. But I wanted out. Like, I wanted a different life. I didn't think college was the answer, and I didn't know how to get out. And this church was presenting a way out for me. So I think that's why that night I came to this crossroads, and I was just like, I don't think I want to do this anymore, because I want to have a future. I want to have a good life. I don't want to end up where a lot of people that partied the way we did ended up, like in jail or, in prison or worse. And I realized that night that that's the road that I was on, and I didn't want to be on that road anymore. I didn't know any other way out. So this church was presenting a way out for me. So I think that's why that night I kind of made a decision in my mind that I was going to start going to church. It's getting really dark in here right now. It's kind of like the story got dark and then the room got dark. It's weird. But yeah, I mean, I didn't really get very specific about some of the things that I had gone through, but from the ages of 15 to 18, I was essayed about 5 different times, if not more, but only 5 that I can actually remember. So I was always fearing that it was going to happen again, you know what I mean? And where I was placing myself at these parties, it was not a good situation. I was clubbing, I was going out to clubs and 18 and over clubs, but I was drinking and other stuff. So it's just like I was always putting myself in bad situations, and I was done with it, and I was looking for a better life and a better way to live, So I don't know if it was that night or whatever, but I remember just wanting to go home. Like I was there and I had my car, and I think that I probably told my friends I just wasn't feeling good or something, and I just wanted to go home or whatever, or I don't know. It was weird. It was just a weird night for me. And then I talked to my friend Lena later on. She was my best friend at the time, and we had been drifting apart just a little bit because I was in we had already finished high school, and we were no longer seeing each other like on a daily basis, but we were still hanging out sometimes. And I just like, I think I want to try this church thing out. I think that I want to try to go to church and stop doing all this partying, because I don't feel like it's putting me on a good path. And I think that the church has some good ideas, you know what I mean? And a community that is sometimes positive, like I didn't really know all about the community yet. Like I didn't know all about the church yet and what it was really going to be like and what it was really going to entail. I seen it as a way out. Like I seen it as an escape from the crazy life that I was living. You know what I mean? I seen it as an escape because I was tired of all the shootings and all the drama and all the SA and all the everything that was happening in my life. It was really time for a change. And I basically put all my hope into this church helping me find a better life. And I think that in my mind I thought that, I don't know, like I believed in God and stuff like that, and I really just felt like God did want me to have a better life than what I was living, so I felt like it was time to make that change. So one thing I can definitely say about this church is that they, in the sermons, they really knew how to relate to people on an everyday average level. And because they were relating to people from the life that I was coming from, it made it even that much more like powerful and impactful. And I feel like this is how they operate, in a sense, to where they know what people are going through. And so psychologically, they know that they can come in as like counselors and help, but with another ulterior motive of getting them sucked into the cult, basically, and getting them more involved. It's hard to explain because it's like it's very deceiving, and I'll get into more about that.